Good morning, everyone. The importance of impacting your employees. Creating an engaged workforce is not easy, but necessary as you grow a successful business. To accomplish our goals, the first step in becoming more impactful, the first step in getting an engaged workplace is to become more impactful. So this morning, we're going to have Ed Carrera of Sagacent will share his experiences, and I might have messed up his name. But let's go. Good morning, everyone. So, um, my name is Paula Mattisonsierra, and the host of 10 at 10. This morning, we have Ed Correia on. I've been really wanting to have him on for such a long time. He's such a process oriented person, really looks at how he impacts his employees. And so he's going to share with us this morning. And, something, I'm just going to bring him into the stream, right? So, good morning, Ed,
Good
as you
morning.
come in. Good morning. Thanks for being on the show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Ed Correa is the CEO of Sagacent,
Sagacent.
Sagacent Technology, and I'm completely ripping it apart here. My apologies, Ed. One of the things I love about Ed's company is, of course, you have IT companies who do your basic maintenance, but in this changing environment that we're in, he focuses highly on IT risk. And of course, he's located in the Silicon Valley area, servicing those businesses in that area. Ed, good morning. Thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
After I mangled the name, I can't believe I practiced in my head.
Well, I tell everybody, never ask me to name a company because I'll choose a name that no one can pronounce. So I only had to do it once and I screwed up.
Well, let me ask you a question. How did you come up with the name of the company? What was
Um, my growing up as a young boy, my grandfather had a huge vocabulary and he was always spouting off words, and I thought everybody spoke that way. And so I'd go to elementary school and the kids would go, "You think you're big, bow," and hit me. And when it came time to launching my own business, I remembered a word my grandfather used to use. He'd say, "If you're sagacious, you are wise, inquisitive, and you carefully think before you act." And he always emphasized he wanted me to act sagaciously. When it came to creating a company,
Careful.
I always believed that's the way IT should be. You
Yeah.
want to be wise, you want to carefully think before you act. And I don't think most IT people do that. And so I took the word, changed it to Sagacent so I could trademark it. And I thought that's great. Everybody will say how wonderfully wise I was to come up with this idea. And in 22 and a half years, I've met 9 people who got it.
Who got it right off the bat?
Yeah, total waste of time. I just sort of called it Best IT or something.
Yeah, right. That's listen, if I like your marketing person, that's probably what I would do. I'm like, let's just do number one IT in Silicon Valley. Let's
Yeah,
leave it
yeah.
at that. Well, thank you so much for coming on for having this micro discussion on impact and how we impact our employees. To start us off, I checked out this study this morning, and it said most companies are losing between 450 and 550 billion dollars due to disengaged employees, their workers. What does impact mean to you, and why do you think it's so important?
Well, obviously that study is looking at very large companies, but at a smaller company, a mom and pop, um, disengaged employees can be the difference between survival and failure. It is absolutely crucial that employees feel valued and feel that they're a part of the team and understand where the company is going. And when I talk with employees, and I go to a lot of conferences and listen to people, often they're saying they don't feel valued, they don't
Mm.
feel heard, and they're not even clear about their role in the company.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Wow.
and when we have this mass resignation going on, or the great resignation as they call it,
Yeah.
no wonder, because people don't feel valued. It used to be, decades ago, hundreds of years ago, that jobs were just an exchange of your time for money. Today,
Yeah.
people want more. They want something that makes them feel good about their life and it's something they look forward to tomorrow. And
Yeah.
employees have a choice today more than ever. They can work for anybody, anywhere, in any state or
Anywhere.
country.
In
Uh,
any world in the
the
world, right? Let
technologies,
let me
technology. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, well, let me ask you a question because I know you're very all into this with your employees. Did you lose anyone during the, I don't know why we're calling it the Great Resignation as though it's so wonderful, but did you lose anyone during this period?
No, but
Wow.
it was not accidental that we did.
Yeah.
We put when the pandemic began, before they started asking companies to shut down and send their people home, we were already doing it because number one, I'm thinking, okay, how can I protect my people? At the time, we were a 10-person company. We're all sitting shoulder to shoulder in a small office. And I'm going, one person gets infected,
And that's it.
everybody will be infected. And frankly, my first thought was for the safety and health of my employee, let alone whether the business would be able to operate. So we immediately started setting up to where everybody could work from home.
Yeah.
But it's things like that that you're thinking about the employee first, not just because there's a rule or regulation or commandment, but you're doing what is best for the employee. And
Yeah.
employees see that.
Yeah. Can I tell you this morning, it's like I was preparing by just listening to the news this morning. So Elon was saying that he basically looked down at his nose at this morning at companies who allow their people to work remotely, and that he just wouldn't have it. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see how this Twitter thing's going to work out because the mandate was if you want to work from home, go for it. We don't see that there's a problem. We're still productive. And now that he's trying to take that company over, it should be interesting to see. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think different companies have to think about how they work. Obviously, if you're in healthcare, you need to go in to the
Yeah,
office. If you're a
absolutely.
surgeon, you've got to be there. But so many different kinds of businesses have kind of grown beyond the office location. If you have
Absolutely.
mature employees and you've been clear with them and they understand the roles and expectations, they should be able to work from home. And I do employee satisfaction surveys of my team, and
How
I
often do you do that, by the way?
monthly.
Monthly? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and boy, do we track the number. If it takes a dip, why did it take a dip? Gee, we're not communicating effectively enough. I think really caring about the value, the role you play in the life of your employees is really important. I personally think it's a privilege to impact the lives of your employees.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But
Um,
Elon could make whatever statement he wanted. I understand it. I mean, he's a smart guy in some ways, and other
and
areas he seems to lack common sense.
yeah,
But he has to make a decision for his company, and he will attract people based on the decisions he makes for his company.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that creates a culture, doesn't it? So it
Yes.
really depends on what culture you want to create, whether planned or, as my mom would call it, willy-nilly is what she'd call it. Was her phrase. It's like whatever happens, happens. So, do you care about that? You said
I,
something though that really got my ears,
okay.
which is, um, do they understand the goals and
Yeah.
the clear vision of the business? Expand on that a little bit. Tell me about
Um,
why that is important for the
there
employees.
have been a number of great books in the last couple decades talking about the importance of having a mission for your company, a mission and vision, and making sure that your people understand it. Where is this company going? What are the goals? What is the workers' in opportunity within the company? How are they going to help us achieve those goals? Again, from a culture standpoint, you will attract people if you put that out in the ether that, hey, we're doing this, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe in. People of like mind will come. People who may be in the boat with you, who disagree with that, they will self select out. and they'll move on
Exactly.
to another opportunity. But if
Absolutely.
you don't build a culture with intent, you get a culture, but it may not be the one you want.
Exactly. You get what you get.
Yeah,
It's I always like to, with my clients use the analogy of a grocery list. I'm like when you're at Trader Joe's, for example, and you walk in with a grocery list, you may walk out with on things that you did not intend. I mean, that's happened to me. I go in, I sample everything. I'm excited. I walk out. I'm like, I walked in to get milk, and there's no milk in this bag right now, So really having that plan of where you're going, your direction is so important as a guiding force, isn't it?
that's a
And your
great
employees need
analogy.
us as
I
well,
really
you
like
know.
that.
We
Yes.
talked this morning as we were going through our questions about fighter pilots, and I did not realize how they also, because it's of course it's like, well, we all know the mission, but in their minds, do you really know the mission? Let's repeat it so that we're all on the same page. If this happened, what happens next? If that happens, what happened next? So that we know where to find each other. And it's in a weird way. The word that came to me as I was listening to it this morning was empowering. It's got to be empowering, isn't it?
Yes.
What's your thoughts about that, Ed?
Well, without a doubt, but it's not just fighter pilots. I mean, they're
Yeah,
a great example. But you look at any sports figure. I mean, the
yeah,
sports teams are out on the field. They're practicing, practicing, practicing. They're talking about different things that they're going to do.
yeah,
They're making sure everybody understands the game plan and that they
yeah,
practice for perfection. Yeah, businesses really ought to do the same thing.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and part of that is in the engagement with your employees is get down to the one-on-one wherever possible. We're a virtual company now. I mean, because of the pandemic, we sent everybody home, and I surveyed the employees, and they all wanted to stay at home. And I said, okay, I don't know if that'll work, but we're going to try. And boy, they proved me wrong. It worked great, and
Yeah,
productivity is up, employee satisfaction is up. That's great, but the important thing is to make sure that everybody understands their role. One of the things I miss greatly about the pre-pandemic world is I tried to take an employee to lunch once a month. And I'd go through everybody and I'd sit down, I'd ask about their life and where they're trying to go. Um, it's a lot harder today, and Zoom is a poor excuse for sitting down at lunch and breaking bread and
yeah,
learning about their daughter that they're worried about for something. I still try to do this via Zoom.
yeah,
Uh, the lunches are fewer and far between, but you've got to engage your people.
yeah,
They've got to know you
absolutely.
care.
Listen, I have a wonderful idea for you because remember, you're a technology guy, so you might
Yeah.
appreciate this. But you when you do Uber Eats, you could literally have it delivered precisely at a specific time.
Yep.
So I say buy them lunch and have it delivered during your meeting. It's like if it's a 12 o'clock meeting, have it delivered at like 12:15. And it's like, oh, you probably should go get your bell. I think that would be a really nice
I'm
approach.
going to
Great
try that
marketing, you
and
know?
let you know how it goes. I think
Yeah,
that's
let me
great.
know. Let me
Yeah.
know. But one of the things that I was thinking about as you were saying this as well is we're talking about the employees, right, at this level. What about the managers? Are the managers equipped with the skills needed to carry out your mandate to lead the team as well? And what does that look like in your business?
So let me add a couple comments there. First, I have no managers in the company.
Oh, okay.
People manage things, people manage systems. We lead people. We don't allow the title manager in reference to leading people. They are my leaders. Now, so I'm a stickler on that
I
because
love that.
I think if you treat them like they're cattle, they're going to think like cattle. So we don't want to manage them. Um, Number two, um, I've unfortunately never hired a leader
Oh,
who had
wow.
all who had all the skill.
Why is that, by the way?
No, no,
Why?
I do hire leaders, but let me finish the
Yeah,
sentence. I've never hired a leader who came in with all the skills that they needed to be a success. We always expect, and we want to identify up front, where where are we going to have to work? That's okay. And when you talk to a new hire, letting them understand that not knowing everything is expected. You're human. The world's going to change next month. We're not going to know how to deal with it. We're going to learn together. But let's identify and build a development plan to get them there.
I love
And
that.
so recognizing when I'm hiring, I'm never looking for perfection. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
And God knows I can't compete with the Googles and the Microsofts and the Amazons. They can afford to throw money at people. Here's an important thought. All of my employees know they could walk out the door today and probably get triple. We've educated them and taught them a lot. They stay because they choose to stay. So I just try to be very open and transparent with them, getting leaders and helping them understand they're going to lead their team, not manage their team, and openly and honestly discuss what we need to work on together to grow is great. And you made a great comment before the show.
What was that?
You don't want 100 expectations for a person. You want 3 to 5.
3 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And could talk about those 3 to 5. You can talk about other things, but don't hold them accountable for 100 things. Hold them accountable for something that they could understand and do in their head.
All
And
right.
you'll get better success and better engagement.
I love that. I love the idea of really not really having those levels, really. It so reminded me of when I was on the agency side in New York, the way my boss back then thought. He didn't believe in the bulk. He really believed in smaller team. A smaller team meant that he could pay each person way better than the average. Um, of a smaller team was more engaged because you were seeing all the pieces of the work environment. And I love that there really, in essence, were no leaders, there was no managers. It was us as a team together working on the various client projects. And I've always used that as an example for myself, But let me ask you a question, because with all of this, and I know you're a guy who loves your analytics, and as you're saying, you're doing monthly, which I love. Um, how do you measure this overall? So you're doing your surveys. What else are you guys doing?
Well, so I think meetings are really important, especially if you're virtual like we are now. Every Monday morning at 10 a.m., we have a leadership meeting. The
Oh,
leaders of the departments come together and we reflect on what happened last week, what went well, what challenges, how are we doing on our goals.
nice.
Every Thursday at 3, we have an all hands Zoom. The whole company comes together and everybody talks about a personal item that they're doing, what they're doing in work. Brevity is key, but everybody can see everybody, and we have some humor and some laughs. I think that's been so crucial because even though we're apart physically, we want to be emotionally tightly connected. So
That's
meeting rhythms, and then my leaders have their own team huddles with their groups,
nice.
so everybody feels engaged.
I love that. And with all that said, it's like I'm sure everyone's on the edge of their seats because I mean, I think managing employees, getting employees to be engaged in the company, feeling like they're part of the company, um, is a big deal for everyone. No one likes it. Everyone's like, oh, that's the part that I hate the most. Yes, I grow the business. Um, how do we engage and impact these employees? What are some of the things that we should do? And I've heard you say a couple of things. My ears pick up, get to know them, like
Yeah.
know who they are, But before you give us some things for consideration, can you share some stories with how you've done this individually?
Um, yeah. Well, it's especially when they're a new hire.
Mhm.
Everybody calls it time with Ed. Um, I'll schedule about an hour with each new employee. Even if they're not going to be working directly for me, they're going to be in some other team. And I'll share what is our mission and vision? Why are we in business? How
Mm,
do we want to benefit the world, our clients? Um, they've already heard that a little bit in the interview because they wouldn't have gotten the job if it didn't resonate with them. But we talk about it again. We talk about how they see themselves impacting that mission, and how they think they're going to do that. I always talk a little bit about their family and what they're doing. Um, just last week, one of my employees, her young daughter, just a couple years old, had a health treatment, and she was
Um,
unable to work. She had to take her daughter to the hospital. She was out of work for a couple of days, and she kept emailing the leaders and apologizing for being out. And I kept replying, "Don't worry about the job. We have people that are covering for you.
yeah,
Take care of your daughter and don't think about anything else."
yeah,
I really think if you're an owner of a business and that's the way you lead, employees first. If your employees don't come first, they can't take care of your customers. Your employees need to know they come first in your mind.
I love that. I love that. And what other tips do you have for us?
Well, one I like to say is, what does good look like? I think I talk to so many employees uh, who have never really gotten a job description. Many don't get reviews,
Yeah,
and one of my mentors told me all your employees need to understand what good looks like. Paint them a picture.
let's go for
Um,
it.
and if your employees don't know that, how could they ever hope to do a job? But I think most businesses treat employees like mushrooms. They stick them in the dark, and I'm not going to dig into the rest of that
I
analogy.
know, right?
Yeah, but
This is a family show, Ed.
yeah, but, but if you wonder why so many people are resigning from their jobs and going on other things, they're looking for a sense of belonging.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about providing them with the tools as well? Because whether it's software or environment or giving them the description, I think you're right. I think we can actually set up our employees for failure and then, point a finger at them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. At the opening, I said that I think leadership and having employees is a privilege, and you want to make that impact on them. One of my goals has been to do more training of employees, where not even work related, but what are those life skills that they may need? Could I bring in a speaker or sign them up for some kind of training online that would help them in their life, maybe in their marriage? It Again, caring for people is more than just worrying about the day-to-day tasks that to be performed.
Yeah.
I don't want a company of automatons or robots. I want to work with people. People are interesting,
Yeah. Can
you
you
know.
give me an example of that you've been through yourself?
Well, so this is not one I've been through myself,
Okay.
but it's one I'm looking at doing. So Landmark is a training organization,
Oh yeah, I've heard
and
of
they
that.
have some very good training programs.
Hmm.
And I would like to basically schedule certain topics and say, look, if you're interested, sign up. It's paid for by the company. I think, again, being able to keep employees when they could go make more money elsewhere um, is important.
Yeah,
And you don't make that happen by accident. You make it by intent. So
yeah,
what else are you giving them? Money is one thing.
yeah,
Most people say that they leave not because of money, but because a manager didn't care or treated them poorly.
yeah.
So,
And I know a lot of companies think that the mission here is to throw money at folks.
yeah,
And really, it's about allowing them to grow, isn't it?
I'm glad you said that, because that does every employee have an understanding of what their path at the company could be
Yeah.
and what is necessary to get through those gates?
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And actually, this is one that we spoke about before the cameras were turned on. We launched, but supporting them in what they do, the authority that you've given them, and just supporting them, backing up and letting them do themselves. You
Let
gave
me
them the authority, so let them do it, you
Yeah,
know?
let me give you an example on that, because it's kind of interesting. We had a young gentleman working for me probably 5 or 6 years ago. He never looked happy, and he's supposed to be a tier one, level one tech. And I used to manage a lot by walking around and checking in on people,
Yeah,
and he always seemed sad. And finally, I don't want to use his name. I'll say B.
yeah, yeah.
Um, B, why are you not happy? And it turned out that he wanted to be a programmer.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
going, why are you working in my company repairing people's problems if you want to program? Well, I don't have the skills to do it. And I haven't, I said, you know what? I want you to go home this weekend and write your resume. I want you to bring it into me. I'm going to edit it so that a person like me would get all excited about you. What
Yeah.
we're going to do is schedule time for you to go to interviews. You send out your resume, make the appointments for the interviews, and we will schedule around those. I said,
Oh,
this is not going to hurt you, but in 60 to 90 days, I want you gone. I want you doing what you want to do that
mm,
excites you. Mr. B, as we call him, he's always remembers me at Christmas because he's out there now on his third job. The first opportunity he got was as an intern programmer at Evernote, and he got the
oh,
skills. And then he moved on to another company. He's doing great. It warms my heart that he's doing something that he wanted to do. Uh, Nobody has to be a slave and work in my company. You should be there because you want to be there. But
absolutely.
as a leader, ask yourself, what could I do to better the life of my employees? Sometimes it might be opening a door for them to go elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and really, when they're not feeling well, that wave really affects everyone else, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, walking around a cloud, it's really hard sitting next to that person, you know? And so, anything to close us out? Any wise words? Any wisdom from the Sagent?
Oh, well,
Now that I know where the name comes from.
it'll make more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that, in life, in the end, you kind of base your life on your impact on your family and your friends and your community. It has less to do with what your job was or the amount of money you made or that you went and saw the new Tom Cruise movie. You know,
It needs to happen, Ed. I'm sorry.
and yeah, well, I'm going to go see it definitely. Uh, but again, that privilege idea.
There's a
I know I'm positively impacting my family and my friends and my community. What a great legacy to also be able to positively impact the people who work with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. You know, when you said it earlier, it as you were going through our notes and everything to get ready for today, that really the word privilege, it really was very humbling, you know. So, guys, thank you so much for tapping in. Thanks for being on the show, Ed, and
Oh, my
sharing.
pleasure.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm hoping this gets your juices going out there on things that you could do because it's about that mirror versus the window perspective, right? You really need to point at yourself and figure out what you're doing, what you should be doing better in your company. um, before pointing at the employees, because I've heard so many horrible things about employees. And during this whole period, and listen, we generally have some crazy employees out there, right? I mean, you can change that, but what are you doing to impact the lives of the other folks who've been there investing year in, year out in your business, right? So definitely please reach out to Ed, connect with him on LinkedIn. He's one of my networking buddies as well. And when you're ready for marketing, of course, reach out to me. Our continued mission statement is to introduce you to everyday experts and business owners who will share their expertise in order to uplevel you. We know what we know, we know what we don't know. And please, by all means, dedicate yourself to being an engaged, lifelong learner. Um, I will also offer marketing tips to inspire you as well. We air every Thursday at 10 a.m. on LinkedIn live. You can catch us on a replay as well. Guess you continue to amaze me, especially you guys who are kicking it really hard on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And to close out, just a reminder, great leaders do not create followers, they create more leaders. That's by a quote by Tom Peters. He's an American writer on business issues and leadership. Thanks so much again, Ed, for being on the show. I really appreciate you. And wow, look, we're right at 30 minutes. So thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day. Ed, thank you so much as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for us to actually meet in person because, guys, we've never actually, well, this is a new world that we're in. We make all of these wonderful connections and friendships, and we've never met each other. So, but take care, everyone. Have an amazing rest of the day. Bye.